Hello and welcome to Castle's Corner. I am Coach Castle, and today we have another Red Pill of Resistance series video, specifically talking about the pectorals, or the chest. We're going to be talking about the most efficient variations of chest exercise and why that is the case biomechanically, why these exercises are perfect and don't need to be altered nor changed, some of the common misconceptions regarding chest training, as well as some of the popular exercises for chest training and why they're not effective at all, as a matter of fact. I'll be breaking it down scientifically for you so you can understand very simply, along with a lot of images as well. So I hope you guys like the video, and of course remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment, as it does help me tremendously. So if you guys are ready to take that red pill, let's go ahead and get into the chest. The pectoralis major is a fan-shaped muscle that covers the top third of the front of the torso. Now, for years, the conventional wisdom regarding the best exercises for the pectorals has been to use an incline angle for the upper pecs, a flat bench for the center of the pecs, and a decline angle for the lower pecs. Now, for a pectoral exercise to be productive, the humerus, or the upper arm, must move towards the pectoral origins, or the center of the sternum, where they attach. Now, there would have to be pectoral origins above this arm line for an inclined angle movement to be productive. But, since there are no pectoral fibers above this arm line, the incline angle is almost completely useless for pectoral stimulation. Now, when the arms are outstretched, it's easy to see that all of the pectoral fibers are situated below the arm line. The pecs are located between the clavicles and the abs. None of the pectoral muscle fibers whatsoever are above the clavicles, or your collarbone. Now, to this point, only the flat and decline angles move the humerus towards pectoral muscle fiber origins. However, any kind of flat or decline press that uses a barbell is compromised for pectoral development. This is due to several factors. The first has to do with range of motion. When using a barbell for pressing, the humeral movement stops far short of full pectoral contraction at the top of the repetition because the hands are stuck on the bar. This prevents the humerus from finishing its final 20 degrees of the pectoral's range of motion. An incomplete range of motion is not acceptable. If we forgive the incomplete range of motion of the bench press, then we would also need to forgive an incomplete range of motion during every other resistance exercise. But we already know that is not efficient nor the case. The other problem with using a barbell for pectoral development is the principle called ground reaction force, or also known as friction force. When using a barbell, we have an automatic tendency to push the hands upward and outward. This is since we are unable to pull the hands inwards towards the midline of the body, as is possible with cables or dumbbells. This outward angle of humeral push engages the triceps more and the pectorals less. So although it may seem that you're working the pectorals harder, that's only because you're able to use more weight than you could with dumbbells due to a restricted range of motion and shortened levers, only using your upper arm levers. The pectorals get a lesser percentage of load when using a barbell as compared to using dumbbells or cables. Now, to speak on an incline press, here's one, typically performed with a barbell, but let's put that aside for now. Let's imagine you can see through the right arm, and you'd see that the arm is aligned with his chin or his neck. Now, this is the direction in which the humerus or the upper arm is moving. Are there pectoral fibers on the chin or the neck? No, of course not. You would not have a neck and your chest fibers would go all the way up to the bridge of your nose. Since they don't, and your anatomy is else's, you don't look like some kind of a freaky alien, what muscles are actually being loaded during the incline pressing movement? Well, if you look at it, it's mostly the deltoids and the triceps, almost nothing whatsoever on the chest. Right now, where you're standing, flex your upper pecs, with whatever arm position best allows you to feel that area contracting. Chances are that you will not be placing your arm up near your chin or your neck as you would in an incline movement, considering you cannot contract your pecs in that position. Rather, you will be flexing your pecs by bringing your upper arm towards the center of your body in a decline angle. Just to repeat myself again, the incline angle is completely useless for the purpose of chest development. Now, just for a moment, let me be clear about what's meant by angles for the pectoral exercise. The pecs don't know whether you're lying on a flat bench or on a decline bench, or even if you're standing or upside down. They only know the direction in which they are moving the upper arm bones in relation to the torso. and the direction of humeral movement must be ideally directly opposite the direction of resistance. For those who don't understand this, they will continue to do dozens of different inefficient exercises for their chest at all variety of angles, just to be safe. As an example, here the cable crossover movement is another exercise we commonly see performed in the gym as part of a chest workout. You will on any given Monday, or National Chest Day, see all manner of gym goers fighting over the cable machine to perform the cable crossover in a variety of incline, flat, and decline angles. Now, we only need to concern ourselves with the decline version, as the other two angles are so inefficient I won't even speak on them. To begin with, the decline cable crossover has a few problems that sacrifice the efficiency of the movement. So, while this angle of humeral movement is the extreme decline angle that we know is the most productive, bringing the upper arm to the center of the torso, the direction of the resistance is not good. The pulleys are too wide, and they're too much on either side. This creates a resistance curve that provides too much resistance at the conclusion of the range of motion, and not enough resistance at the beginning of the range of motion. This is out of strength with the muscle's natural strength curve. The principle of early phase loading requires that the resistance be greater during the beginning of the range of motion, as that's where the skeletal muscles have the greatest strength capacity. In order to create this resistance curve when using cables for the pecs, the resistance should come more from behind rather than from the sides. The pulleys would need to be closer together than the standard cable crossover machine allows. Ultimately, the resistance curve provided by the cable crossover insufficiently loads the pecs during the early phase of the range of motion, and excessively loads the pecs during the latter part of the range of motion. It also wastes energy by loading the biceps asymmetrically. Overall, I would rate the cable crossover on a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10 for the benefit of efficiency in pectoral training. So let's talk about what we could do to make this movement more efficient. Well, let's look at the decline dumbbell press. Just a reminder, what matters is not the bench being used. What matters is the direction in which I'm moving my arms relative to my torso. Since gravity is the resistance here, and gravity is always vertical, you will need to position yourself on a decline bench so that you can push directly opposite gravity and also towards the center of your sternum, or your center of your chest. When we perform a decline dumbbell press, we activate the largest number of pectoral fibers because we are moving the humerus towards the area where the greatest number of pectoral fiber origins originate. Now, all three parts of the pectorals, the clavicular fibers, sternal fibers, and costal fibers, all contract when the arms are moved towards the area that is in the middle of the sternum. This is the single best angle of humeral motion for engaging the greatest number of pectoral fibers at one time. If you only wanted to do one pectoral exercise, or the perfect one, and stimulate the greatest number of pectoral fibers, this exercise, a 25-degree dumbbell bench press, or the alternative, the extreme decline press I'm about to get in with the cables, is the one you want. So why would we use cables? Well, obviously, it would be very difficult to perform an extreme decline angle press on a bench with heavy dumbbells. It would be difficult enough just getting on a bench that is set to a severe decline angle, and then getting a pair of heavy dumbbells in a position to begin the exercise without getting injured in the process? No, thank you. Plus, having one's body turned so upside down would also be very uncomfortable and distracting, to say the very least. Fortunately, we can easily recreate that same angle by using cables. Here's another decline angle press, although with cables. So, despite having the torso in a completely different position as compared to being on an actual decline bench, the angle of humeral movement relative to the torso is not different than the angle above. Notice that the cable is moving in a horizontal direction, but the angle of the bench is not vertical. If the bench were vertical, the movement would be considered flat bench. But since the angle of the bench is slightly back, it results in a direction of humeral movement that is considered decline. So, from this point forward, when we talk about an incline angle, a flat angle, or a decline angle, in terms of pectoral training, what we are really talking about is the direction of humeral movement relative to the torso. We are not necessarily talking about a particular bench or machine being used. Now, this angle is like the direction of push used during parallel bar dips, but it's much better than actually doing dips in several ways. When using cables like these, you can choose the weight that has the appropriate amount for the number of reps you want to do. More importantly, you can bring your arms out laterally as you stretch your pecs, and then you can bring your arms inwards towards the midline of your body as you contract your pecs. Now this is impossible when doing parallel bar dips because the bars are fixed in place and do not move. The direction of resistance when doing dips is straight up and down vertical. When doing decline cable press, the direction of the resistance is upward, but with a distinct lateral angle. By keeping the forearms parallel to the cables throughout the movement, you can maintain the forearms in the neutral position as your secondary lever, and all of the focus will be on your tension on the pecs. The reason for this is the secondary lever is now out of the equation since it is lined up with gravity, or the cable. When doing dips, it's impossible to make the humerus go out laterally and still keep the hands and forearms under the elbows. In other words, the hands, forearms, elbows, and upper arms all should move outward laterally with the resistance to follow the pathway of the pectoral fibers. But, because dipping bars are restrictive and can't be moved, you are forced to move the humerus posteriorly, which loads the front deltoids much more than the pectorals. In fact, it overloads them since body weight is far more than the average person can handle in terms of front deltoid strength. So even though in this position they're only getting about 8 to 11% of your body weight, it doesn't matter. It's still far too much for your front deltoids to handle, and of course your pecs are getting almost no load when using the dips. Therefore, you would be much better off sticking to the cable extreme decline angle or the 25-degree angled dumbbell press.
Hey guys, and thanks for watching the video. Just real quick, I'd like to remind you all to please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment, as it does help with the algorithm. I put a lot of work into these videos, a lot of my time, and again, it's all for you, it's all for free, so you can learn the proper way to do things. You no longer need a personal trainer or coach, so please guys help me out. Every little percentage, of course, helps.